Ooh, what is up everyone? It's Ergo Mustache. Yeah, I got rid of the beard, I had to. It was just taking up too much of my life. There were hairs falling on my iPad while I'd be recording it. It just wasn't working. Sorry, TMI, but it's gone. I decided to keep a little bit of hair on my face, and so I'm digging this mustache, all right? Don't hate. If you miss the beard, I'm sorry, but it's just, this is me now. But let's go ahead and get right into the topic today. We're gonna talk about why I feel like I know, because it's happened to me, half of your brain is not being used because you're not doing this one thing that they don't want you to know about. Doing this one thing will double your growth at art. Just this one thing. Stay tuned till the end until I tell you what it is. Just kidding. It's imagination. Drawing from imagination, to be exact. So what most people do is they draw from reference, which is absolutely great. A ton of artists will tell you, including me, to draw from reference. It's basically how you learn how to draw anything. If you haven't seen it, then you can't really draw it. That really does apply. And so drawing from reference is absolutely what any beginner, any intermediate, any advanced artist should be doing, because there's always things that you can pick up and add to your mental library, as we always call it, so that you can use it in your creations and concept art whenever you want to along the way. However, what I don't want you to do is confuse drawing from imagination with drawing from memory, right? Because those are two very different things. When we usually think of imagination, a lot of people say, oh, that's not true. There's no such thing as drawing from imagination. But there is, right? Memory is simply putting something in your brain that you have seen before and keeping it there so that you can use it later. That's why we call it memorizing. And when you draw from memory, you're just spitting that information right back out onto the sheet of paper or the digital canvas. Imagination, however, is something a little bit different. It's really the assembly, I like to use that word, of the things that we have in our memory to create something new that we haven't seen before. So I'll give you an example. I guarantee you probably haven't seen, I know I haven't seen, a mouse mermaid with a party hat on, holding a trident, riding an elephant, right? You could probably draw that if you have drawn any of those components before, right? I've drawn an elephant before, I've drawn a mouse before, I've drawn a mermaid before, I've drawn a trident before, and I've drawn a party hat before, but I've never drawn all of those together in the way I said. That is imagination. And that's the really cool thing, because that is exactly what gives art its value. So let's take Kim Jung-gi, for example. He draws incredibly well. It is insane. He just starts drawing. He could start drawing a building from someone who's standing in front of the building, and he will start with their ear and he will get the rest of it done. That's how crazy his skills are. But the great thing is, those crazy skills are only part of the story. They are used to make the crazy ideas that he has shine even better. And those ideas are what really draw people to it. So if you can have those ideas, then it really only complements your art even more, and it makes people who aren't interested in art actually interested in art, because you're showing them something that they haven't seen before. And that's really cool. So there's a few benefits to drawing from imagination that I want to let you know. And the first one is that you're basically building neural pathways. Now, I don't have the research papers to prove this, but I'm pretty sure you've heard this throughout your entire educational career when you're being taught mnemonics or learning techniques to help you memorize things for your tests and essays and all that. But basically, it's a commonly held understanding that when you learn something, your memory of it, your understanding of it gets stronger and stronger every time you test it, right? So if you memorize a fact, every time you have that flashcard and you have to recall and remember what it is on the back of the flashcard, your memory of it gets stronger and stronger. It's like a chain link that gets stronger and stronger and more robust every single time you test it, right? And in order to test it, you have to draw from imagination. If I am studying the different muscles in a leg, for example, I can look at a diagram of the leg and draw it, right? But that's not testing the chain strength. What will test the chain strength is when I try to draw it from imagination. I try to recall it, and that is what builds it. Now, of course, you can do it exactly from memory, but that's drawing in exactly the same leg, the exact same pose that you saw in your anatomy book. Imagination is saying, okay, I want to draw this leg, but I want to draw it from below. And let's say I'm looking at someone who is about to get out of bed, and what pose their legs might be in, and what muscles might be contracted and what muscles might be relaxed. Now that's really challenging, and that's really going to stress that tension of the chain link of your memory of that thing even more. Now, the second benefit is huge. It's really the best way to find out what you don't know about something. Because let's be honest here, when you learn something, no matter how much you think you might get it, you don't understand the whole thing. You learn things in layers, and your understanding of something that might be simple gets better and better with time. And so the best way to find out what's left for you to be able to learn is to see how much you know right there and then, or then and there on the spot. And the way to do that is to just draw from imagination and test and see what you can do. So for example, one of my friends told me, a great way to test your understanding of anatomy is just try to draw a skeleton from imagination. Just do it. Try to add all the muscles from imagination, and whatever you can't add, that's the thing you need to study. And the last hugely important thing, the benefit to drawing from imagination, is something I mentioned earlier. It's that word again, assembly. You are going to build your ability to assemble things in your mind, in your imagination. And that is really good for illustrators who are creating not just concepts of, a character standing and you turn them around, but you want to be able to create an idea for, let's say, a whole scene that's going to make your character really shine. And even in concept art, let's say you're not just doing a character, you're trying to concept a city, a village, a space, an entire cabin for a certain character. You want to be able to assemble all of the different things, all of the different references you might have into a cohesive product that's going to be the very concept that you want to sell. And that is a skill in and of itself. Trust me, I have struggled with growing and building my anatomy and trying to practice all my fundamentals so much to where it's like, okay, I want to make my own illustration. I want to make my own animation, my own comic. I'm sure the most simple version of this is, hey, I don't know what to draw, because you haven't practiced that skill of assembly. How do I take what I've learned and make something out of it? That is the very thing you practice when you're drawing from imagination. And I'm just going to give you a tip really quick. It's going to be very hard when you start if you haven't drawn from imagination at all yet. Trust me. And I just want to let you know that now, because that will at least give you the courage to keep going, because there are big rewards if you push through the difficulty in the beginning. Again, with what I said about not knowing what to draw, some of you might be thinking, well, Josh, I always draw from imagination and I'm not that good at drawing. I'm still a beginner. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because a lot of beginners tend to just draw from imagination, which I think is an excellent behavior, to be honest. Let's just put that there. I never really drew from imagination that much as a beginner, and I wish I did. But the thing is, as a beginner, you also need to remember that, hey, remember the first thing that everyone says, draw from reference. That's still very important. And I actually think that's just as important as drawing from imagination. It just so happens that I think a lot of people draw from imagination for a few years in the beginning. Then they're like, oh, I need to draw from reference. That's going to be how I grow. And then they put drawing from imagination behind and they never do it, right? Or that at least they don't do it from a place of trying to use it for a way to grow. They just do it for fun. But I think you can use it to grow really fast in combination with reference. And so just analyze, take a step back and think about what you've been doing for yourself and see, am I doing a healthy balance of both, or am I heavily leaning on one end? And if you are, try to bring back the other and see if that can help you grow a little bit faster. For me, drawing from reference was the only thing I did growing up almost the entire time. For me, unfortunately, a lot of my drawing and how I did was very tightly linked to my self-esteem. So of course, mentally, it's like, okay, if I want to draw something good so I can get validation, I need to use reference. I'm not even gonna I rarely even just drew from a reference. I would use the grid method, or I'd just straight up trace it, because to me, it's like, if I don't get it right, then I'm a failure. So it's only until lately where I've been drawing from imagination, and the video that you're seeing, the footage that you're seeing of me drawing, the two women that I'm drawing are completely from imagination, part of my Figtober challenge that I'm doing for this October. And just in case you're wondering, what you're looking at is me just using my iPad Pro. It's going to be this is the 2021 model, I believe, with the M1 chip. And I'm using Procreate 5.0, and I'm using a paper-like screen protector. Really nice. It just makes it really chill and relaxing to sit here and draw. It's pretty much right here. I already finished the drawings though, but this is just how I work and I really enjoy it. And of course, yeah, I'm using the Apple Pencil too. So yeah, that's also a big factor. All right, so in summary, I just want to remind you guys that this is going to be hard to do if you haven't done it a lot, right? I struggled with it a lot. I remember when I started around June, July this year, when I started saying, okay, I want to try to draw from imagination a lot more. Take it really seriously. It was hard. It was very frustrating. And I think some of you, I don't think many of you will find it as frustrating as I did, because remember, I haven't done it for years, but I don't want to give the impression that this is all you need to be doing or all you should be doing. You should only do this some of the time. Again, like start at 50-50, do some reference and do some stuff from imagination. You can also just use it as a test, maybe every month, to see where you're at with what you've learned. Or what I like to do a lot is I like to do some drawings, ideally daily, but let's be honest, it's really hard to draw every day. But start off for the first 10 to 20 to 30 minutes of a drawing or your just drawing session, draw from imagination, and where the gaps are, where you couldn't really figure out, like the hands, usually that's it for me, the hands, or the facial expression, or maybe you want a different hairstyle, go get some reference. Finish the drawing with all the reference you need, and I bet you're going to come up with a drawing way cooler than any reference that you would have copied from the very beginning, because what you have in your imagination is special and something that is worth showing and sharing with the world, and people are probably going to find it really cool, and you might develop building a whole audience that wants to see the stuff you've got later on down the line. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think about everything. Let me know if this has helped you out. How much are you drawing from imagination? And I will see you all in the next one. Keep drawing and stay positive. Peace.